Not Dan. Bye, Dan. What are you playing today, Dan? Are you on Doomsday? Jeskai. Oh, oh Jeskai. All right. This is round 6, Vintage Showcase versus Dan Nelson, and they are on Jeskai. We are on the play. Kind of a hard match. We'll see how it goes. Oh, it's a keeper though. I say it's kind of a hard match, as in they have a lot of tools that are pretty good in the matchup. Like I still think you're favored as the Bazaar pilot against Jeskai, but like they do have like a lot of things that help. So all right, chat, focus. We're back to beating Jeskai. Vengevine, Vengevine, Vengevine. No Vengevine, but we did get a land, so it's. I wonder if I should hold Rootwalla. Wonder about holding Rootwalla. I kind of like the idea of pitch Dryad Arbor, pitch Force of Vigor, pitch Stitcher Supplier, and hold on Rootwalla so that next turn I can have a good chance of triggering a Vengevine off of my Supplier plus Bazaar. I don't really want to. I'm going to pitch the Force of Will. I know they're on Jeskai, so I don't really see any reason to have Force of Vigor. They're like, I mean, they can have multiple Moxen, but whatever. Yeah, so I think that you should use your you do this a lot, I think, where you hold your Rootwallas so that you can like obviously we don't have a Vengevine, but the likelihood that we hit a Vengevine next turn between Supplier and Bazaar activation is like decent. It's like decently large, enough so that I would want to make sure that we can return the Vengevine. So they did have a Sapphire, which is unfortunate for us because it means they're closer to Dak Faden. Dak Faden is a pretty big problem. They also like get to play Swords to Plowshares for Hogaak, so like I do think this matchup is quite tough. They have like Shattering Sprees and stuff like that, so maybe one main deck Needle, sure. If they're playing the Amir deck. Obviously, if we pitch our Vigor and they have a Needle here, then obviously we look pretty silly, but Jesus Christ. All right. Hey. Why? I have Amir. Why did you do this? I don't think Jeskai is like very ever disadvantaged. I like how just one of Pithing Needle, no problem. Top off Preordain, no problem. Oh boy, I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to Wasteland here. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to get an active Deathrite Shaman. That way I can look to 2 spell on the next turn. Main deck Needle is an Amir thing, and it definitely helps shore up some of the decks that Jeskai has problems with. So the problem with not Wastelanding is they can slam a Dak Faden on my hollow one. Which of course they have. Christ. Alright, well, I guess I was never winning this game. Maybe I won this game if I kept my Force of Vigor. I still don't think that's correct. Oh, shit. Now, how about a Vengevine here? Vengevine? I didn't even hit a Vengevine. So frustrating. There's no way I'm supposed to keep Vigor against Jeskai, right? I don't know. Feels so hopeless playing against Jeskai. Like, just they have everything and you have no choices and then you get wrecked. Wait, do they brainstorm and have nothing? Or are they going to attack? Or are they going to block? What are they going to do? I assume you just don't attack because you're just winning the long game. I mean, theoretically, if we had kept Force of Vigor, it would have kept them off of Dak Vaden and killed the needle. So maybe I just punted. Maybe it's just a punt from me. No, Doomsday's the best deck, but Jeskai's pretty close. Yeah. All right. So they did miss a land drop on Brainstorm. So maybe there's a shot here. Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time's good. I don't know how we're going to get this to resolve. But like maybe I should be playing around negation by casting it on their turn. That just seems pretty bad though. I feel like we want to just try to get this to resolve right now. We hit Hollow One, Vengevine. I guess I definitely want this Wasteland for next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they can still, if they have any cantrip. Trying to figure out if I want to just take a land now so that we can play around dig and cruise better. I think I'm going to. All right. All right. So theoretically, they don't have a land this turn as well because they brainstorm lock themselves. We can wasteland their volcanic island. Okay, so they're gonna get an ancestral recall. Does make my life more difficult, I guess. We do have an active Deathrite Shaman. It's quite possible this is fine. Got main deck needled. Was I supposed to keep this Vigor? Oh, they got a Force of Will? Does that mean they already have an Ancestral? Or it means they're worried about Hogaak? Well, we can just cast Hogaak twice. I guess I could technically attack with Supplier and try to find a Gak while they just they ripped those Tarn off the top. All right, I mean, I guess so. Rip the Tarn off the top and then are gonna cast dig through time and get rid of the spells out of their yard. I mean, we played around this treasure cruise the best we could. We just needed them not to rip a fetch land off the top. Don't know what I'm supposed to do. Feels like I've just been completely outpowered by this Jeskai deck. So if I attack with supply, I mean, they have an active force of will. Like, what am I, like, how am I supposed to? They have an active force of will. If I attack with both, they block the root walla. They go to 9. Doesn't actually help me. I'm like 1 land away, I guess, from casting a hollow one. That doesn't really do much either. I guess I can just keep eating spells and just hope they don't hit a lightning bolt in time. It's just so bad for me. It's just so bad for me. Maybe I cycle this hollow one or something. I don't know. I don't think we're gonna win this game. I mean, it was obviously very rough from the moment we. It was obviously very rough the moment they played their main deck Pithing Needle against us, but now it just looks like incredibly bad. Yeah, this game's washed. No, it's pretty common right now, thanks to Amir. Because your only bad matchup in the format as Jeskai is like a good Doomsday hand and Bizarre decks, so kind of makes sense. We know opponent has a Force of Will, and we know they have an active Swords to Plowshares, so even though we have a Hogaak, it doesn't do anything. God, this is so dumb. I hate playing against Jeskai so much. Yeah, this is the single best card in their deck for them. I mean, Dak Baited and Swords to Plowshares are also great cards in the matchup, right? Like, unfortunately, like, if they force this, that just delays it a turn. If they don't force this, they just Swords to Plowshares it. So, like, this game is completely washed, unfortunately. I mean, it's kind of my fault, right? Because I just pitched this Vigor to start the game, and I definitely don't think they had a Force of Will, so that we probably could have Vigored their Sapphire and their Needle and won the game on the spot. So, I mean, maybe it's just my fault, right? It's just Force of Vigor is completely dead versus like 90 out of my opponent's 100 draws. Like, opponent has 3 Moxen and a Needle in their deck. That's all it hits. Frustrating. Yeah, Swords to Plowshares, my Hogaak. All right, if we draw a fetch land, we have an active Vengevine. Yeah, it kind of hinges against Dak, but you don't really want to be playing like that. I don't know, it's like really hard for us to even like consider drawing the land. I mean, we have Bloodghast in our deck. I mean, I guess the game is not over yet, is what I'm trying to say, but it's going to be hard if they find one more removal spell. Okay, I'm in. I mean, I know they have a Force of Will, right? We know they have a Force of Will from earlier in the game. 2 Force of Wills. All right, I mean, there's no reason for me to attack anymore because they're going to go to 1. Unfortunately, I can't block either because I don't have the mana anymore. There's no way for us to draw and play 2 spells. I guess that's not true. If we draw Force of Vigor, we have 3 Force of Vigors left in our deck. If we hardcast a Force of Vigor and it resolves, we can activate Bazaar and hit like Hogaak Rootwalla. That would be pretty good. So I guess there are lines out of this, but the minute opponent like draws a land, then they get to bring back Cruise. Pretty bad. Man, I hate Jeskai. And they probably get like a bunch of tabernacles and shit post board as well. They probably board in like 10 cards in the matchup. Jeskai. Tabernacle, Needle, Swords of Plowshares, Swords of Plowshares, 4 Leyline of the Void. Sure, why not, man? Yikes. It's not even for me. Like the most of the graveyard hate is from this deck is for oh my god, they have Time Walk. Most of the graveyard hate in this deck is because they have an unwinnable dredge matchup. But I just get splash hit. Alright. Opponent can flashback Time Walk onto the top of their library, attack with all their creatures, cast Preordain and Probe, and then Time Walk again, and it's just not worth playing. I don't know what I bring in. That's the problem. Like these cards, like you could theoretically think Silence is good against the opponent. I don't really think it is. I guess you'd probably have to bring in Assassin's Trophy. I've like considered Ley Lines. I don't really like them very much. I'm not a huge fan of Ley Lines in the matchup. Like I have to keep in Vigors because they can board in Ley Lines of their own. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Leyline against Jeskai. It's not bad. Like by any means, it's definitely not bad. But typically they do not have anything that removes a Leyline. So you're turning off like Dreadhorde Arcanist and Delve spells, but is that actually good enough? Typically I would say no. Like that's a pretty good way to like lose to Planeswalkers and Mentor. Is to like have a bunch of dead cards like Leyline. Yeah. So you're stopping like 5 cards in their deck is what I'm saying. I have to keep in my Force of Vigors to kill their Ley Lines. I mean, theoretically, I can like board out another Once Upon a Time. I don't know, like Once Upon a Time isn't terrible as a normal spell versus the opponent's deck. I can't really afford to like lose a bunch of creatures because opponent has enough removal to like tax me out of creatures typically. So I guess theoretically, like I don't know, Assassin's Trophy can only really kill Lavinia. The only really like super thing that matters, but it also kills like Activated. Maybe what I want to do is like Leyline, 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 and Leyline, and just play Leylines instead. So I didn't really take out any pressure there. I just took out a bunch of Once Upon a Times, so maybe that works. I have to pick up one more card if I want to do this, though. Like that. Maybe that works. I'm going to try it, I guess. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't think it's a good enough idea, typically. Well, that hand's not good enough. That's the hand. All right, so we're gonna... Do we play around... All right, here the question becomes, do we play around 1 Tabernacle? I don't think so. All right, nice Leyline of the Void. So they are on Leylines. I'm not playing around 1 Tabernacle. I don't care. I mean, they can just go Lotus Shattering Spree, right? Like, there's plenty of ways they can have hands that beat this, but I don't really care. I'm going to just jam all my cards and hope they can't beat it. Like, I guess I really can't keep the Force of Vigor in game 1 because you don't know they're on Needle. Like, Needle's a kind of a niche thing that some Jeskai players do, and some Jeskai players don't. So the worst possible thing that can happen from here is Black Lotus Shattering Spree. The next worst is, like, Black Lotus Stack. And then the next worst is, like, Tabernacle. It's not doomed, like... Opponent can easily just play 3 red sources and Shattering Spree my board. Like, people overestimate how good this hand is. Like, his hand is very good, right? I have a turn 2 kill, but Jeskai has, like, plenty of things. Like, really, like, if they go... If they go land Shattering Spree, how can I ever win? I mean, I have to draw like land hard cast Vengevine or something. They have one in the main, and they probably bring another one in. Yeah, I would say so. Oh, yeah, I should have played Lotus for tab. Totally. I was just tilted in reading chat. I should definitely play Lotus for tab. Yeah. Spree's not the best card they bring in, but they bring in like 12 cards. Like, I don't know. Dancing Jesus asks, why not Bazaar on upkeep to cast Root Wallace? Why would I Bazaar on upkeep to cast Root Wallace? And can you cast a hollow one when you have discarded 2 cards? You're better off waiting till end step to cast Root Wallace. Yeah, I mean, that's fine though. Like, there are different. You have to think about the ways. It's not a free Bazaar activation. They have an active ley line, guys. Jeez, oh man, these are people. Come on, guys. Active ley line. It's an option, but I'm already playing 4 Force of Vigors, so I would rather have the 4 Force of Vigors. I think it's good enough. I don't want to bring in Assassin's Trophy when it doesn't have enough targets. If this hand had a Hogak, I would snap it off. This is... if this hand had a Hogak, I would snap it off, but it doesn't, so I think I'm going to mulligan it. Great, I have a bunch of ley lines. Like, this ley line would have been a Once Upon a Time, and this hand actually gets much better. Doesn't, like... I don't need to do that, though. Doesn't make sense. I'm going to mulligan this hand as well. Guess we're going to go to 5. They kept their 7-card hand, so... Alright, that's the one. 2 cards to the bottom. Which 2 cards to the bottom? Probably land. That way we can draw... Maybe it's land gassed. That way I could play in Vigor on turn 1 if I wanted to. What? This means they must have Tabernacle, right? Or they have Ancestral on my upkeep. They would just Ancestral on their turn. This must mean Tabernacle, right? 7-card hand that has Sapphire, no other lands. Must be Tabernacle. I'm gonna go Trop Lotus. Now the question is, am I Vigoring on their upkeep? Or am I holding for... No, I'm supposed to Vigor this. Because if they had another land to play a Needle, they would have played it. Okay. Either they drew it, or... Fucking Ley Line of the Void, man. Whatever. Not a trap on this. Holy shit, these cards are bad. Which one am I more likely to cast? I guess if I drew a land, I might cast Once Upon a Time. Maybe they're just baiting me into dacking a hollow one or something. I don't know. I don't know. This is gonna get Swords to Plowshared. I mean, I think I'm gonna lose this game, right? Opponent just gets to, draw the game out, and they have 6 cards in hand. I mean, if they had a preordained, wouldn't they have Shit, did they draw a land? Maybe they just missed and didn't play a land on turn 1 by accident. Maybe that's what it was. Alright, I'm supposed to draw step. Root Wall is not bad. Yeah, I'm willing to activate Bazaar here. Root Walla. I guess that it plays around Rav Trap. If they have Rav Trap, it's pretty good. We actually get to keep the Ghast in our yard as well. I'm sure this gets forced. Like, if you're keeping a hand like this from the opponent, it's like, maybe they just have other swords, maybe. They're up to 4 swords post board, right? So, whatever. I get to F6, so. No swords? I'm so confused, chat. I have no idea what's happening. Needle? Needle tab. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I think, like, I read what they had, and I think they just top decked land. I think I like completely read that they had a Tabernacle hand, and I think they just top deck land on us. All right, so land brings back a Ghast. It wasn't a Ghast. They didn't have a Swords to Plowshares, or they would have just sworded the Hogaak. So we have a chance in this game. We just have to avoid a Swords to Plowshares somehow. So if opponent has a Dreadhorde Arcanist, that's a problem. This game 3. Yeah, I think we had the read on what opponent kept. And I think we played everything correct. So opponent has to find another Swords to Plowshares, or they have to find... I mean, next turn they could probably bring it back off the top. These draws have been garbage. They have swords? No swords. All right, so if opponent has another land off the top and a cantrip, we lose our Hogaak. Any land draws from us give us Bloodghasts. Dreadhorde is not good enough. How am I playing a hollow one, chat? Please. Okay, this is good. Fetch is good. Now my Bloodghast is lethal. Dackfade? No, Dackfade wouldn't do it. Dig or something? They're digging, they have to hit land swords or mana source swords. Mana source swords. And even if they do, I can draw a land for lethal. Even if they hit mana source swords, I can draw a land for lethal here. He found the swords but didn't find a land. Oh, I feel so lucky. Didn't have a land coming either. 2 turns from now. Oh, he had a Rav Trap they chose not to use for more value, and we drew exactly Root Walla. Wow. Oh boy. I feel pretty lucky here. What's your 7? Tab, Saf, and what? Must have been Tab, Saf, Mindbreak Trap, Ravenous Trap, Force of Will, Lightning Bolt, maybe? It had to be Tab, Saf, Trap, Bolt, Force, something. Tab, Trap, Needle, Sapphire. Okay, that's exactly what I thought you had in your hand. Yeah. That's exactly what I thought you had in your hand. Something like that. So you ripped land. Yeah, okay. So I was like debating the hardcast vigor on the Sapphire, and I was like, so Dan either next leveled me and has lands in their hand that they're holding, or Dan has Tabernacle and no other lands. So I was like, all right, I'll just smack this Sapphire. I was like wondering if you might have had a needle in your hand as well, and you might have held it so that you could play around vigor better. But I think I'm still supposed to like always kill the Sapphire, which cuts you off of your cantrip draws. Maybe I'm wrong though. You shouldn't choose. You chose not to play Needle, right? You chose not to play Needle. Yeah, if you play Needle, I just can't win the game. I don't know if it's correct though, but what a weird game of Magic. What a weird game of Magic. So I was like probably tilted for like 20 minutes about that game 1 where I pitched the Force of Vigor blue card or Force of Vigor green card. And I still think it was correct, right? But boy, does it feel bad, you know? You got to get out of here with this Amir tech, you know? I knew like there was a possibility you had the Amir tech, but even if it's in your deck, even if I know you have it in your deck, ooh, yeah. So that was something we were definitely actively trying to keep you from delving. That was definitely something that I was trying to do. That was cool. That was pretty cool. Oh, I think the main deck Needle in Jeskai is good, actually. I think it's quite good. Yeah. All right. So it's 129 players. So I don't know when Dan lost, but technically Dan is still live as well. And then there's 2 rounds left. Yeah, I felt like you had one sphere, at least one spree in your deck. hmm I actually like was tilting off and talking to chat, and I forgot to play the top deck Lotus that I drew, which would have gotten rid of your Tabernacle out. So that I got lucky and didn't get punished there. I think having one spree in your deck is like perfectly fine. Depending on what other cards you can take out, I even like having 2 sprees. Mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yeah, I was real tilted that game. That was bad. I gotta focus. Jeskai sucks the life out of me. It absolutely just throws me off the mental cliff. There are a lot of 5/1s. Wow. Beerus is still 5-0, so there'll be 2 5-0s, 2 6-0s after this. Yeah, I think 1 is I would definitely always play 1. Even when I'm not on a deck that gets pyroblasted, I still I still get wrecked by Jeskai.